Good day, everyone. I'm Gary, and we're here to talk about influence, right? How people would be able to persuade other people to alter the way they think, they feel, and to make decisions, right? So we're going to be talking and discussing about the different aspects and concepts of
Ayan. So we're going to talk about influence. Ayan. When do people conform in groups? When do people resist the group's influence and instead change the group? What are the sources of social influence at saka do social influence process shape jury verdicts? Alright? So interpersonal undercurrent flow beneath the surface of most group that pushes a group member together towards greater consensus, uniformity, homogeneity, and conformity. So, merong isang individual dyan who would influence people, right? If you're going to look onto the topics that we're going to be dealing with, conformity and independence, conformity across context, who will conform, then you have the minority influence, majority, minority, you have conversion theory, the predicting minority influence, the dynamic social impact theory, right? Then you have your sources of influence, implicit influence, informational influence, normative influence, interpersonal influence, tapos yung concept natin ng bystander effect. Mga tambay-tambay lang, pero madaling mauto. Right? Yeah. When you talk about influence, comes from the word influential. Right? An ethereal fluid that flowed down from the planets and the stars to affect human actions. Right? Unseen and unnoticed, influential was thought to suddenly push humans in one direction or another without completely controlling them. Influence comes from your social. You have your social influence, mga tao sa paligid mo. The majority influence, sino nakakarami. And the minority influence, dito na lang ako mas konti lang. Right? We are considered as discrete sheep. We wait to see how the drove is going and then we go with the drove. Kadalasan, di ba? Sabay sa agos. So, ang nangyayari ngayon, when you talk about majority influence, there is pressure of many against one. Yung sa minority influence naman, pressure of one against many. Pabaligtad naman. Right? O ito naman, ASH, study of conformity. And conformity, changing one's thoughts, feelings, and behavior to match the thoughts, feelings, and behavior of other people. Right? When will a person bend the pressure of the group? Right? When will a person bend the pressure of the group? Ayan. So, meron kang pressure coming from people, then, papaano mo mapapabago yung value ng isang tao? And once that you're able to change that, papasok ka sa tinatawag mong conformity. Right? Ito yung conformity and independence mo. So, you have the individual, you have the social influence, yung drawing niya kaboom, yung drawing niya ay impactful because the person would do compliance, conversion, independence, anti-conformity, or they would just to have congruity. They would have to agree, but if you did before the influence would occur. Right? So, tendency is that when people would conform, nagkakaroon siya ng evidence of conversion, compliance, and independence. Right? Pag hindi niya sinunod yan, nagkakaroon ng anti-conformity. Right? Kasi ano yung factors natin that would affect? Unanimity of majority, right? Another dissenter. Meron kang kasama na nag-o-oppose even if it is incorrect. Pumapayag ka. Okay, siguro kaibigan mo or whatever relation you have. Tapos yung mga strong versus weak situations, right? Whether it's face-to-face or remote. Alam niyo pagka nakikipag-usap kayo with certain people, mas strong yung conformity mo or yung ways of conforming mo kung i-message mo na lang or i-text mo na lang or when it's face-to-face, mas madali kang mapapayag or mas nagkakaroon ng mga ganun mga situational differences that would pertain with conformity. Diba? Erika, sabi mo that you would consider the size of the group. Maraming pumupunta dyan. So pupunta na rin ako dyan. So that influences the fact as a factor. Right? Ito pa. Situational factors and conformity. So you have to consider the different situations that you would have to face in order to conform. Right? Accuracy needs. right? The needs is accurate and it's there and you really need this person. So, kailangan ko, at saka to be exact and precise, I would have to join. Right? Then, there is conformity for cohesion. Pag hindi ako sumali dyan, hindi magiging cohesive yung team namin, nakakaya naman. So, I have to participate. Right? Consider task difficulty. Right? Makakatulong ako dyan. If I'm going to join this kind of task, even if it is difficult, if I'm going to join, then I will become a solution to the problem. Maganda yun, right? Then you consider the status of other members. Right? Alam niyo yung hindi siya makakasama, kaya, sumama ka na kasi hindi siya makakasama eh. Di ba? So you consider, may sakit siya, pwede bang ikaw na lang pumalit? Sinasabi mong yung status of membership na the situational factor. Mas gusto ko sumama, I would conform, I would follow because meron akong member na ganun eh. Kilala ko na meron akong isang kasama na laging may ganyan. Di ba? That's part. And you have to look into it. That's why people would conform or because of those situational factors. Right? Then you also consider the social impact theory stresses the three key factors. You have strength, you have immediacy, and you have the number. Ang mangyari ngayon, they would be having what we call as, according to Moscovici's study of consistent minority, yun ngayon yung tinatawag mo yung conversion theory. He would be able to convert everyone of his influence being a minor. So mag-isa lang ako and I was able to change the concept of everyone, then I was able to convert them. It is behaviorally consistent minority sometimes that would change the majority. Yung konti ang nakaka-apekto ng change dun sa nakararami. Expanding minorities are more influential dahil dumadami yung mga minorities, mas nagiging influential kasi bago ang kanilang concepts, bago yung construct, and the majority that was been practicing everything for a certain period of time, nakikita nila there's something new. So they would try to follow. Right? Everything naman kasi, if you're going to look on it, they would be able to start out from minority and they would change. Right? The minority would influence more indirect than majority influence. Typically, they would generate conversion and innovation rather than compliance. Kasi nagkakaroon ng bago. Right? Katulad nito, they have the group discussion. Right? They have the group discussion. The group discussion may have minority influence, may have majority influence. You try to check. Right? The minority, upon hearing the discussion, would try to validate. Upon validation, they would convert indirectly, hindi agad-agad kasi validate pa yan. Therefore, there would be delays, but it's more durable. Bakit? The number is smaller, but the idea becomes more durable because they were able to validate on it. As compared to the majority, the majority would tend to compare. Tingin-tingin ng ibang grupo, tingin-tingin ng ibang organization. From there, they would not convert, they would comply. I would join because of compliance. It's direct, it's immediate. Mas maganda to, sasali ako dito. But it's temporary. Because later on, the comparison would be continuous. Hahanap ulit sila ng ibang grupo and they would compare. So you have this predicting minority influence based on, you have to be consistent, look into the status, there's the effort, tsaka yung decision rules na tinatawag natin dyan. Okay? Again, ito yung dynamic social impact mo. Ano yung dynamic social impact? You have your family. Isang family, isang family, isang family, isa. As a whole, we are family. Right? Yan yung sinasabi mong social impact. Kaya ka naging family kasi you have group of families being together also. Other than, magkakasama lang kayo. Taurus tawag mo doon. Right? Magkataon lang na nandyan kayo. Or, yung ribbon. Si ribbon type. Mukha siyang ribbon. Isang grupo would interact with another group also. Now, you also have different sources of influence. Andyan yung implicit influence. You follow because you are just mimicking. Sumusunod ka kasi everyone is doing it. So, implicit lang siya. There's the tendency to become mindless. Ayan. Sunod ako kasi yun ang uso eh. Hindi ko iniisip kung tama o mali. Basta sumusunod ako because everyone is doing it. Implicit influence. Right? You also have your informational influence. You do social comparison. Titignan mo yung information. Or, you have your false consensus. You misjudge to the extent which others will agree. Nag-agree siya, di false consensus. Other people would agree, you disagree on it. And you misjudge. Because people agreed on it. Akala mo, tama. Yeah? Then you have the dual process theory. Members base choice on available information, kung ano lang meron, and non-rational processes such as heuristics and emotional responses. Normative, based on the norms that is presented in the group. When you disagree, and if that is the norm, it would trigger cognitive dissonance. Oh, yan. Then you also have focus theory of normative influence. Norms are more potent and longer lasting from the influence of than informational influence. Right? Mas mabilis yung kung anong meron sa norms rather than influence. Ito nakalagay sa batas, pero ito ang sinusunod ng karamihan. Saan ka susunod? Then you have your interpersonal influence. Influence na yan ng verbal at saka non-verbal tactics that you do to induce change. Diba? Paano ka mag-persuade? How are you going to tell? Paano ka mag-convince ng iyong mga friends na ito ang susundin o ito ang gagawin? Yeah? Or even sometimes you use reverse psychology. Diba? Sinasabi sa inyo ng mga magulang yun, huwag ka na umuwi. Diyan ka na tumira sa mga kaibigan mo. Right? And the reaction is, umuwi ka na maaga. Kasi nagkakaroon ng interpersonal influence. The last one, we have the bystander effect. Sa bystander effect, you look into these multiple causes. So meron siyang tinatawag na informational influence, normative influence, which is yung kanina discuss natin. Ang mabigat sa bystander effect, yung diffusion of responsibility. When you say bystander effect, in a group of people, let's say there's an accident or there is an event, as a bystander, you're there watching without doing anything. Hindi ka gumagawa, hindi ka kumikilos, nandun ka lang at nanonood. Because, nandun yung sinasabing diffusion of responsibility. Seems that the most likely explanation for the result. If an individual is alone when he notices an emergency, he is solely responsible for coping with it. If he believes others are also present, he may feel that his own responsibility for taking action is lessened, making him less likely to help. Okay? So, yan yung concept natin when we talk about influence. Alright? So, ayan. Okay.
So, that's it. The different topics and discussion about influence. So, I hope you'll be able to get a thing or two to be able to share it with people that you know on how they would be able to affect and to be able to influence other people. Alright, so thank you very much for joining me. Stay safe and goodbye.